What's going on, people? It's your favorite podcast on a Thursday night. Graham, turn me down just a little bit on that board over there, please. It's coming in a little bit hot. As we are finally reacting to, I guess not finally, just happened 2 hours ago, with the Trevor Lawrence press conference as he finally officially got paid today, signed for the next couple of years. We're going to talk about that. Nothing really earth-shattering that was said in the press conference, but we're going to talk a little bit about that. I haven't seen you since I took my trip to Philly.
Yeah.
And
my boy's a world traveler these
yes,
days.
I'm very experienced. And Gators and the Knowles baseball teams were eliminated yesterday. Graham, Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence now is officially a Jaguar for the next couple of years after his rookie contract. $275 million. How much of it's guaranteed? I forget as
well, but the number that matters is 55 a year.
Yeah. So he's the highest paid quarterback as of the moment. And people keep saying that. He's not getting paid right now. It starts in 2026.
And by that point, he will definitely not be the highest paid QB.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah.
By that point, Tua Tagovailoa will have been paid. Dak Prescott will have been paid. Who I'm missing somebody. Jordan Love will have been paid.
Mahomes will probably have his
Mahomes will have a new deal.
Reconstructed.
Herbert could be redone. Burrow could be redone. Lamar Jackson could be redone. He'll be like back half of the top 10 by that point.
I think now that Trevor gets paid what he gets paid now, and he kind of tiptoed around. He was asked about having the players' respect. I think now that Trevor has now entered into the pool of everybody getting highly paid, just like Josh Allen and everybody else, and I wrote Josh Allen down specifically for this example. He's going to now have input, or at least he should, on guys that they should potentially draft, guys they should bring in free agency. I wrote Josh Allen because, for example, this past offseason, the Bills are not getting rid of Stephon Diggs and bringing in a guy like Keon Coleman without the approval of Josh Allen. If you remember, when they brought in Keon Coleman, I think he talked to him on the phone right after they drafted him, or the day after, and he said, yeah, I really wanted you. I went to management. I was like, I really wanted you. I love this guy. I want him on my team. And so that's not happening without him saying, also agreeing to let go of Stephon Diggs and saying, hey, it's cool. If you want to let him go, that's fine. I think Trevor Lawrence is now entering into that stage of quarterbacks of that realm and having that say-so a little bit when it comes to the front office.
And shoot, man, you look up, he's already been in Jacksonville for 3 years. Obviously, this guarantees he'll be here for, I'd say, probably the next probably 3 years to 4 years. I know the deal is longer than that, but you know how these work. And yeah, I think at this point he's been in the league long enough, has enough street cred in the league in terms of things that he's done. I know he hadn't gone to a Super Bowl or anything like that, obviously, but just in terms of like, a veteran wouldn't look at Trevor Lawrence now in the locker room and be like, you haven't done anything in this league. Shut up. Stop talking to me. Like,
and I don't think it was like that before either.
I don't think it was either. But there wouldn't even be any legs to something like that now. What I hope this means with Trevor, I agree with you that he should and will have say-so in management and how they conduct things, particularly on the offensive side of the football. What I hope it means even more than that, because Trevor, we know this, and this has been talked about at length since he's been in Jacksonville, so really since his whole career. Trevor is not really a rah-rah type of leader. He doesn't get super high, he didn't get super low. He's a very level-headed type of guy, which I think 95% of the time is good and how you should be. For the most part, Mahomes is more fiery, but he's Mahomes, so I'm putting him in a different category. But for the most part, I think kind of that even keel type of dude is the best way to lead as a QB. That said, I think now with him getting paid, now with him being even more established than he already was in the locker room, now with him being a more experienced NFL player, I'd like to see that 5% of him when things are bad, ripping into some people. In a healthy way. And when things are good, getting extra hype, talking. And he'll do the positive part. I'd like to see him more willing to get on to guys when things are not going as well.
You saw a little bit when he got hurt in the Monday night game whenever he had his ankle stepped on, and I forget who it was exactly, but they ran the wrong route, and he was pointing.
It was Parker Washington.
Yeah, he was like saying, you should have been over here. I think you're probably going to see a little bit more of that. The years and the money didn't really, I really don't care. I mean, I'm glad it wasn't 10 years because I think that's a little extra. I mean, we talked whatever it was a couple weeks ago. It was going to be a 4, 5, 6 year deal, so that way he still can get another contract before he turns 30. And the money, it's whatever to me. We on Jaguars today with Mike Dempsey and Tony Smith, we spoke on what would upset you, what kind of money. I was kind of like whatever. I wouldn't have given him 60, but anything 55, 50, it doesn't matter. He's your guy for the next couple of years, and like you said. The money doesn't mean anything because in a couple of years it's just going to be it always resets itself every year. There's going to be somebody that's going to get paid, and then he's going to go down 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever. And it's just that's just how the market works.
There are probably going to be more QBs that get paid before training camp starts. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Dak Prescott still got redone before training camp, or if Jordan Love got paid, or if Tua Tagovailoa got paid, like the guys that we're talking about. So again, it's a little bit. It's obviously on a bigger scale because it's a franchise QB that you're investing in, but it's in terms of just like manipulating the market and how this works. It's not dissimilar from when they went and paid Christian Kirk in free agency. When they initially paid him, it was like, oh wow, that's a lot for Christian Kirk. You're making him one of the highest paid receivers in football. But it's like if you understand that the cap's going up and how the market is working, then if you give this a little bit of time, he's not even going to be in the conversation for some of the highest paid receivers. And he's not anymore. I don't even think he's in the top 10.
No. I thought, what, talking about Kirk?
Yeah.
Kirk was outside of the top 10 in the same offseason that he signed.
Correct. And it's not a dissimilar case with Trevor. In my opinion, if you really understand how the QB market works and how the contracts work, this was about as smart of a deal as the Jaguars could have done. This has been talked about already, that in terms of money, in terms of average salary per year, the $55 million, it's the same that Joe Burrow is getting paid. In terms of salary cap percentage, though, it's less because it's the same salary on a later season when the salary cap has gone up, right? We know how this works. So it really doesn't matter. Something that bothers me so much is when people get way too caught up in the actual dollar amount, when the actual dollar amount doesn't matter. It doesn't. These owners have the money, okay? It's not putting them out, okay? Shad Khan's not going to be, eating ramen noodles for the next couple of months because they just paid Trevor Lawrence. It's not about the actual money. It is about what percentage of this money affects my salary cap. Because that dictates how hamstrung I am because I just paid my quarterback to build out the rest of my roster. That's what matters. And I think the front office and Doug Peterson and even Trevor Lawrence, he said so as much in his press conference today. What they cared about is how can we make sure our guy is paid and invested in while also not screwing us to keep all of our good talent that's also in the building here. And then obviously get more talent as things move along. To me, they did a really good job of managing that. And I think that in 3 to 4 years from now, if Trevor is what we hope he will be, and if Trevor is what we think he can be, this deal is going to look like an absolute bargain.
Yeah, and now bulky. So you got Trevor Lawrence, and he signed Josh Allen just a couple weeks ago. So you have two of your staple pieces for years to come, and hopefully it can. And there's still plenty of salary cap for this year for the Jags to still go get somebody too.
And by the way, for just really quickly, last thing I want to say on this, between Josh Allen and Trevor Lawrence, probably more people doing this with Trevor than Josh. But if anyone is sitting there complaining that they're getting paid too much and the Jaguars overpaid them, yada yada yada. A lot of those same people are probably the same people that if these two guys were holding out in training camp for 2 weeks would be complaining that they're holding out.
Yeah,
so it's like, which one is it, man?
Yeah, they just want to complain.
You know what I love about the front office with doing both of these deals is it eliminates the BS when training camp comes, right? When training camp comes now, these will not be storylines. We won't be talking about Josh Allen not being there. We won't be talking about Trevor Lawrence. I don't think would have held out anyways. But we're not going to be talking about stuff like that. We're just going to be talking about football. We're going to be talking about these guys and having as good of a 2024 football season as they can possibly have. And For people in the media, for me, that's refreshing. And then I think just as a fan of the team, that's refreshing. I can't stand when my teams, when the main headlines, we've talked about this with the Gators in the past with Billy Napier and Jaden Rashad and all this stuff. Something that really irks me is when the teams I cover and the teams I support, when the main headlines are not about the sport and it's not about playing football or playing whatever sport it is. And this is the same thing with the Jaguars. I really, really appreciate the fact that when training camp starts, the thing that's going to matter is the Jaguars playing football and meeting expectations on the field.
Graham, let's move on to the Gator baseball game that happened yesterday. By the way, before I talk about that, y'all need to subscribe to the 1010XL Jaguar and Gator channel and Noel channel if you're a Noel fan. I'm going to say in about a month or so, we're going to have some weekly and daily content that most fans, if you're fans of those pages, are going to like.
That will impact this podcast.
Yeah.
So,
possibly. Just thinking out loud. The Gators yesterday, they needed to win 2 games in order to go have a chance to play today. It didn't happen. They basically used all their runs against Kentucky in the first game, and then their luck ran out against A&M. I like the decision of them putting Jack Caglione first because I know you probably don't pay much attention to baseball.
No, but I was watching the games. I know they put him first.
They put him leadoff because Kentucky had just walked him so many times this year. So they're like, okay, you want to walk him, so you're gonna have a leadoff walk. If you understand in baseball, if you lead off with a walk to start the inning, the chances of that person scoring go up way more.
Yeah.
He didn't get intentionally walked. He ended up having a good game, but eventually the Gators scored 15 runs in the first game, and I mean the second game you can't have the bases loaded and have a runner in scoring position with 1 out and you can't get him home. That's where they lost the game. That's just baseball.
That's where they lost the game.
At any level.
This is because I'm not a huge baseball guy, but I have been following them, as they've had this run. It's the equivalent of having the ball 4th and goal at the 1 yard line, multiple times and getting stuffed. Like that's what it is. You can't leave runs on the board like that, especially in Omaha, and expect to win. So that was frustrating. But when you look at it from 10,000 feet, this is one of Kevin O'Sullivan's best coaching jobs.
Yeah, this is his best one. Not even close.
For them, a lot of Gator fans are saying, for them to finish in the top 3, top 3 is a little bit of it was kind of just the same day. It was more like the top 5.
Yeah, finished. Top 4, yeah.
But either way, for them to make it this far, if you'd have told most people that follow this Gator baseball team a month ago that they were going to make it this far,
they would have said no way.
They'd have looked at you like you had 3 heads. I mean, that it was insane what they were able to do. It did show, though, once they did finally get hot and did start winning games and did start making that run. It started with that Georgia series at the end of the regular season, and they had to win that series to even get into the postseason at all. So once they did start getting hot, though, it did show you just how insanely talented they are. And man, if they had taken better care of business earlier in the season, then they would have been in better shape throughout this whole thing. And probably the end story is a little bit different. Just the fact that they've had an uphill battle for the entire postseason now is really what hurt them.
Yeah, it just shows you that baseball is a lot like basketball, getting hot at the right time. You always see the team that always gets out in the tournament or the conference tournament going into the NCAA tournament, and you saw with Gator baseball, they get hot at the Georgia series, and you saw the same thing from LSU. LSU had a worse conference record than Florida. LSU does good. They go to the conference championship. I think they lose, and they still make a run. I think they just fell short of going to Omaha. So it was a good season for the Gator baseball team, and seeing Jack Caglione, in my opinion, I've only watched Gator baseball for about 12 years. Far and away the best player that I've seen.
He's probably the best player in program history.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of hits, the amount of home runs, the way that you could just watch with the way he hits the ball compared to everybody else, it's like a different playing field. Yeah. It's a major league compared to like a college guy.
And we're younger, and we haven't been watching for decades and decades and decades. And you more so than me, but I wouldn't call either of us huge seam heads.
No, I mean, I was.
But but just what I was gonna say is like guys that know a lot more about the history of Gator baseball and are a lot more dialed in than we are saying Jack Caglione is the best Gator baseball player ever.
Yeah, I mean, I remember growing up watching Mike Zunino and Brian Johnson and Preston Tucker, and those were dudes.
Yeah, I would say Pete Alonso later on.
Yeah, him too, and those Wyatt Langford from a year ago. Jack is far and away better than them, in my opinion.
And I'm as casual a baseball fan as it gets. Like I can watch a game and I understand what's going on, obviously, and I follow it. And obviously when the Gators are making a run, I get into it. But I'm the last person you would go to break down a baseball game. And I can tell that this guy's a man among boys. And I feel like baseball is a more difficult sport to tell that than in like 100%. Basketball or something. You know, basketball, if a guy's going down and just blowing by guys and scoring every time, you can tell. Baseball, there's more. It's just a little bit more difficult to tell if a guy is dominating, and it's obvious that he's dominating. So if it's obvious that he's dominating to a casual fan that is not super locked in, then he's a man among boys.
Yeah, it was funny. You're talking about baseball. You know, you could go see a game, like you could go watch the Angels play, and Mike Trout's been one of the best players in baseball the last 10 years, and like you won't be able to tell. And I was kind of down. I went to Philly last week, and I was going to see if I could go catch a Phillies game. And they were out of town, so I was kind of bummed out that I wasn't able to go see. And I was like, okay, maybe I could take a tour. Well, they're not at home, so they're not taking tours. I'm like, golly, but I really didn't have time to really do much of anything other than go to the track the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then come back. I didn't. Have you ever been to Philly?
Yes, but I was a young kid.
Okay, so you don't really remember.
I remember somewhat. I was like maybe 10 or 11.
Man, I already kind of knew this like ahead of time. I'm not a city person. I could not live in the city. I could not be around the city. Man, I'm a redneck. Get me on the west side and just leave me to my land, and I'd be happy. I could not. The constant traffic, and I'm fine with Atlanta. I was born there, and you know, Atlanta traffic doesn't bother me. Philly was different because everything was like in the city, like it wasn't interstate.
Yeah,
and the amount of people that just are in such a rush to go everywhere and cutting everybody off, and
everybody's on top of each other all the time.
Yeah, that's not me. And I didn't realize how historical like the place is. Like I knew like the Liberty Bell and all that stuff. It was like the whole city was like that. You know, I mean, first time I've ever been on a plane and all that kind of stuff. First time being up Northeast. It was pretty cool, man. It was pretty cool, even though I didn't really get to sightsee that much. I spent one afternoon just walking around. 25,000 steps in one day.
Wow.
That's a lot.
That's big time. It gets hot in Philly, too.
Dude, weather,
a lot of people don't understand.
75, 80 degrees, hardly broke a sweat.
Really?
And it was sunny the whole time.
So it must have been nice. Okay.
Yeah, it was like the perfect weekend. Like this weekend, it was like 90.
When I was younger, we did like a summer vacation trip, and we did like a Philly-Boston thing. Like did a couple days in Boston, a couple days in Philly. Philly was really hot when I think it might have been July when I was there, and it didn't really feel much different from Jacksonville. When we were in Boston, it was kind of what you're describing. I guess Philly was this past weekend. Like it was like 75, like nice. Humidity's low. That's a big difference. Humidity's way lower than it is here. Dude, I thought Philly was awesome, but I love, and I'm sure you did. I know you're a huge history guy. Like the American history there and getting to look at everything was really cool. You probably didn't have a lot of time to get to do a lot of that, but
I saw City Hall, I saw the Rocky statue, and that's about it.
No, it's pretty cool. Yeah, if I would like to go back to Philly now as an adult, and I would obviously do the trip a bit differently. I'd probably want to center it around like a sports weekend. Like if the Jags played, I know they played there a couple years ago, but maybe if they played again in the next couple of years, like do something like that. Yeah.
That's the Monday night game, I think, or Sunday night, or Monday night, one of the two.
Oh, this year. Yeah. I guess you're right. I didn't even think about that. Duh. That'd be cool. I got some other trips planned for the football season, so it might not work this year. But anyways, be cool to see like a Sixers game, a Flyers game, a Phillies game, just like any of the sports, because Philly's obviously such a big sports town. I have never seen the Rocky statue, and that's my favorite movie series of all time, so I want to see it. Big time.
I ran up the steps.
I want to run the steps. Yeah, that twice. See that I'm jealous. I'm really jealous of that. That's cool. I love dude. Last night after the game, the CWS, when the Gators were out, oh, that's cool. Dylan showed me a picture of him at the Rocky statue, and I'm very jealous. Yeah, dude, literally last night, My fiance, Mallory, she fell asleep on the couch when I was watching the Gator baseball game, and then I flipped over to Creed 2, and I watched like the whole movie.
Yeah. Creed was decent. I liked Creed. So at the track meet, it was New Balance Nationals. It's basically the best track meet for like high school kids. Like Nike has theirs, Adidas has theirs.
Yeah.
New Balance is like the top. So there's 2 high school kids that are going to be running at the Olympic trials this weekend for track. So swimming's been going on, the diving. Track is this weekend and then the following weekend. So there's 2 kids. One's 16. He runs a 400. I've told you about him. Quincy Wilson runs a 45. Kid said he can run a 44. He said he could jog it, and he wasn't even running in spikes doing it.
Wow.
For anybody that doesn't know, that's 1 lap, 45 seconds. That's the definition of stupid. That's insane. Then homeboy from here, Christian Miller from Creekside, I don't know if you know him, the kid that runs the 100 meter. So last year he was running a 10-0, 10-1. He was the junior national champion with a 10-05.
That's cooking, bro.
So this year, 2 months ago, he ran 9.93. Granted, he just graduated high school.
Oh my God.
Like he just went to prom 2 months ago, okay? Buddy, so the University of Penn is like historic. It's like the mecca of track. It's been there for 130 years. Nobody's ever ran below 10 seconds in that track for high school, college, pro, whatever. Buddy went 9.95.
Wow.
What's more impressive? He was about to get ready for his race, got down in the blocks, 2-hour weather delay. So he got cold, had to warm back up again, and then did that.
Wow.
That's even more impressive. I can't put into context, like, the only thing I can put into context, and it really doesn't serve it justice, is like a baseball pitcher having to warm up and then cool back down. But even then, like what that kid had at stake, like he needed to run well to feel confident going into this weekend. And that dude just ran 9.95. Was just like, dude, that's crazy, man.
If you run 100 and it starts with the number 9, you are historic level.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Put it to you like this. Like he signed to go to Georgia. If he can run 3 9s this weekend, which very possibly can happen, but he's probably going pro. And this is just my opinion.
As he should.
Yeah.
As he should. Why
And
would you go to college at that point?
Well, you can still get paid when you go to college, but I mean, the money's just more when you go pro. And I mean, that kid is just insane. And he's not a big dude. He's like 5'10", 5'9".
To put how fast that is into context, because that's sub 10, and for people that are listening to this podcast that are very familiar with Maurice Jones-Drew, who Jags running back, second best Jags running back of all time. Maurice Jones-Drew was really fast, right? Had like breakaway speed.
Yeah, I wouldn't say track speed, but he was fast.
But he was really fast. He ran track in high school, and I think he ran a bit at UCLA as well. He ran like a 10.6. And this is an NFL running back that was a kick returner. Like this guy had elite speed, 10.6. And the guy you're talking about ran sub 10.
Yeah, so
that's ridiculous.
So for every 1/10 of a second in a sprinting event is a yard. So like if you run 9.9, I run 10.0, that's a yard of a difference.
Like a few tenths of a second. If Dylan beats me in the 100 meter by like 3/10 of a second, he cooked me. Like he killed me. That's like a lot. So dude, that's crazy. In high school?
That's
ridiculous, bro.
In high school. Like these kids, dude, they're I don't know what makes them what's changed in the last 10 years, because this wasn't happening a couple of years ago. Like 8 years ago or whatever it was, 5-6 years ago, you had Sydney McLaughlin, the 400-meter hurdler. Right when she got to college, she made the Olympics. But yeah, keep an eye on him. And then there's another guy, Kendall Williams, that's ran 9.93.
I mean, the only thing I could really say that's
Jacksonville.
probably changed, and this is true in all sports, not just track. I think just sports at a younger and younger age have become more and more specialized. So you're like the gap between your maximum potential and what you are has never been smaller. Just because, like, I mean, I don't know the guy you're talking. What's his name again?
Christian Miller. And he did play football when he was a freshman. He was like, I'm gonna stick to track. Once he ran a 10.4 his sophomore year, I talked to his dad up there. He was like, yeah, once he ran a 10.4, he was like, yeah, I'm sticking to track. I'm good on taking these hits.
20, 30 years ago, he'd probably still be playing football.
Yeah.
That's you're saying what's changed. That's what's changed right there. Is like there's more young people that are specializing in one sport now, and they compete in their season, and then in the off season, they spend the entire off season just training for that one sport. Versus historically, it's always been, if you're a big time football player, once football season's over, you go play basketball, then you go play baseball, then you might run track too, and then football starts again. Versus now, like, think about how many of those guys that play, receiver or corners or whatever, instead of running track in the spring, they're just doing 7-on-7s all spring, and it's the same. It's the same type of thing.
Yeah, I call 7-on-7 fake football. The amount of hype that's around it, just mainly around the high school, is so nauseating to me. But I understand. I mean, that's why a big reason why the quarterbacks have gotten so much better in college and in pro. And the bust rate for the first rounders is so low is because they do that and they don't do anything else. And I think
it's more so the timing of stuff and kind of how you're supposed to anticipate routes and that type of thing. I think is really what's groomed young QBs at a younger age than they typically have. But typically, historically, if you're a quarterback, you're not truthfully doing that type of thing until college. Historically. Now, dude, you're working on timing and concepts and routes and what works versus cover 2 instead of cover 3 and that type of thing. You're working on that in 6th grade.
Yeah, 6th, 7th grade. Yeah, middle school is the place where you're getting installed into that, and then by high school you got to know that stuff, and then you go from there pretty much.
Normally, middle school is the first time you're just putting on pads, and it's a different world,
man. Not anymore, man. Not anymore.
We're not even very old. We're only 26, and it's a completely different world from when even we were growing up.
Right. Yeah. Plane ride was all right.
Yeah. We got to break this down.
So
for those that missed the last episode, go ahead.
I was first plane ride.
Ever.
First one ever. I think I was on when I was a toddler, but I ain't counting that.
Last week, my boy's 26. This is his first plane ride ever.
Yeah.
Okay, so break it down. Give me start to finish. Give me from you packed your bags, you're about to leave your place, then what happens?
Go through TSA, go through security.
What time did you get there?
Flight was 8:30. Got there 7. I got there 90 minutes before.
That's not bad.
Yeah,
That's about right.
I'm an early person too.
And that was a weekday in the morning, right?
Thursday morning.
Yeah, so there was probably barely anybody.
Yeah, and by the way, Christian Miller was on my flight, so
that's cool.
I don't know if anybody can ever say that once upon a time the fastest man in the world was on their first flight. I'm gonna take that with me. But so I go through TSA, I sit there, I wait. I'm like asking people like, "What's this mean?" Like zone 1, zone 2, and like, okay, if it's zone 1, then you go. I was like, all right, then. I almost went to the 4th row. I was the very front of the plane.
What airline were you?
Frontier.
All right. Cool. And
yes.
you flew direct, right?
Yes.
Okay.
No stops. Get there. I get in my seat. I got a window seat. It was okay. I'm not doing window seat no more if I have the option.
Most dudes like aisle better.
Yeah. I just needed more room. And Frontier just doesn't have a lot of room. It's the cheapest flight. I mean, it was like $250 or something for a round trip. Wasn't bad.
Typically, most women prefer the window. Most guys prefer the aisle.
Yeah.
That's not 100%, but that's like the general thing.
Yeah.
And then everyone hates the middle seat.
So I get in the plane and I'm like, I got this adrenaline, man. Like I'm a coach. It's like getting ready for a football game, man. I'm like, here we go.
You got your headphones in, playing Dreams and Nightmares.
Yeah, play some DMX. So, we back up, we start to roll. I'm looking out the window the whole time, like something's about to happen. Because I'm always like, when we go to the bars, like, this, like I'm always in control. Or like, I'm usually the sober one in the passenger seat, like, hey, you need to make this turn. I did that for the pilot. He just couldn't hear me.
Dylan's the babysitter, not the one that gets babysat.
Yeah. So, I take a peek to the left and I see like a straight shot. I'm like, all right, here's the runway. Well, it was a lead up to the runway. So I'm like, I got all this adrenaline like built up, like something's about to happen. And I'm like waiting. Waited 2 minutes, like nothing's happened. And then they finally hit the runway. He did it pretty fast. I wasn't expecting him to go that fast. And we went up, fell queasy my stomach for like 0.2 seconds when he went off the ground. And then
that's normal.
And that was that. My ears popped for like 5 minutes. But then it was just a tube in the air for the next 90 minutes. And then it was pretty chill. The only part that sucked was coming back from Jax. There was a fuel leak right ahead of us. So apparently we got there early. They had to wait for a plane to get out of the way so we could pull into the connectors, that we call it, where you walk to the airport, where the plane where you connect to the airport, so you can walk off the plane and go.
Oh, the tarmac.
Tarmac.
Yeah.
Apparently there was a fuel leak ahead of us, so we had to. Once we were landed in Jax, we had to wait an hour for the fuel leak to clean up before we got to the tarmac.
That sucks.
So I was on no sleep. Dumbass here. Okay, I didn't know. I thought TSA was always open. So my flight was leaving Philly, come back to Jax was 5 a.m. I was like, I just want to get here early, get it done with, because I don't want no delays, none of that stuff. I get to Philly. The tarmac doesn't open until 3:45, and I could have boarded at 4:15, 4:20. Dude, I got there at 2 o'clock because my Uber said it was gonna be 30 minutes. I was like, all right, I'm gonna just hit this
You're
Uber.
there at 2 a.m.?
Yes. So I was watching the Gator baseball game while I was in the airport still.
You're in the Philly airport to get your flight back to Jackson.
Jax, yeah.
Okay.
And so I'm thinking,
but security's closed, so you can't.
Right. So I'm just sitting there, just reading my book and just looking on YouTube and stuff because I thought I could go through security and I could eat something and I could get a neck pillow or whatever because I was tired.
Right.
No. Security and TSA wasn't open until 30 minutes before my flight boarded. And my Uber said 30 minutes. I was like, all right, I got some time. Like, there was the Tank Davis. Dude, all the Hispanics were out. Like, every intersection we ran into that was a bar, they had the fight on because Hispanics love the fights. So I was like, man, the rate's probably going to go up here in a little bit because everybody's going to be leaving the bar, yada, yada, yada. I was like, let me just go ahead and hit this Uber. It says 30 minutes out. Buddy pulled up in 5 minutes. I'm like, God bless. All right. So I guess I'm going. And then once I got to the airport, it was... I'm not making that mistake again.
So you did a whole lot of sitting around.
Yeah. I've read like 40 pages of my book that I'm reading. And
now, execution was poor, but concept was not bad because it sucks to get up early for flights. But if it's not a weekend where you're going to be like drinking heavy and stuff, and you were with high school,
so it
wasn't that kind of weekend. If it's honestly, you weren't wrong that like the early flights are typically the cleaner executed flights. So that's normally how it works. Like the later in the day the flight is, the more likely that
you have a delay. Yeah, Dempsey told me that, so I was just like,
that wasn't wrong.
Yeah,
I've done a lot of early morning flights, and they're normally, the oil leak and all that. Like that sucks. There's not a lot you can do about that.
Yes.
But normally you are right. The early flights you kind of just get in, get out. It's easy.
So I got home at like 8:30, 9 o'clock, took a nap, and then I was fine. So that's my story. Graham, it's about time for us to get out of here.
Yes,
Denmark and Marsh. Get us on Twitter at 1010XL, Denmark and at 1010XL. Graham, subscribe to the 1010XL Jaguar and Gator channels. Please and thank you. Till next week, we'll see y'all.